Very popular these days. Python is used across many fields including automation, AI, website, application development, you name it. Hello everyone, my name is Alok Agrawal and I'm your instructor for this course. This course is intended for beginners and we will learn Python in a series of videos and each video will cover a separate topic. During this video session, we will use Visual Studio Code as our editor, but you can use any editor of your choice, like PyCharm, which is very popular. So without any further ado, let's start with Python installation. To install Python, we will first go to Python website, python.org, and click on download link. Once you click on download link, you will see different OS, Windows, Linux, Mac OS, and others. And you can download the version of Python depending on your OS preference. So I'm having Mac, but if you have Windows, you can download here by clicking Windows, and it will download a Windows friendly version of Python. The latest version which I'm using at the time of videos is 3.8.5. So let's quickly download this. We will use Python 3. So we'll download the latest link. I already have a download folder, so I will just go on and install it. Next, if you click, and it will ask you for some important information, then next, and then it will say you want to continue, yes, agree on the license agreement, and then which drive you want to choose. So by default, Mac OS HD, and if you install it, it will ask for password. I'll give my password, and then it will install 3.8.5. And after downloading, it shows me the folder where it is installed. And once it's installed, it shows it installed it successfully on the OS. And I move it to bin. That's it. To test if I have successfully downloaded it, I'll quickly see the version of Python by opening terminal. So I say Python 3, Python 3 version, and it shows me 3.8.5. Thank you. To finish installation, we will write our first program, Hello World. To start with Python, it's very simple to write your name first. What could be better than writing something which will print us, which will give us something, and will give us some confidence to write further programs. So let's start with writing our name. So we'll open our editor of our choice. I'm using Visual Studio Code, but you can use any other editor. So let's start. So I'll create one file which is called hello world, and Python uses extension py, so name every Python file as py. We'll write print command, and within print we'll write, either we can give single quote or double quote, and we will write our name. You should write your name. My name is Alok Agrawal, and I save this file. And to run this command, either we can run through a terminal window. So if your editor has a terminal window, you can use a terminal window here, or you can use a run command from your editor. So I'll use run just to show you. here you go. I can see my name. You can either use terminal window, and by using terminal window you need to type a command. So we are using Python 3, so we say Python 3 and the file name. The file name is hello world py, and here you go. I can see my name. So here you have written your first program. In this section we are going to learn about variables in Python. So variables are the containers for storing data values. Unlike any other programming languages, variables in Python cannot be declared, but they are only created when you assign any value to them. So variables in Python could be of various different types. They can be integers. So integers are numbers without any decimal, or float, the numbers with decimal, a string, a string of characters, a boolean value which could be true or false. So let's create few variables. So we create another file called app.py. Remember, Python extension is py. Let's say create a variable name. So my name is Alok Agrawal. So this is a string variable. Now we define age 30. We can have a boolean value. Boolean value could be is programmer true. What else? So let's do a float example. Weight 72.6. These values may not be correct, but this is just an example. So let's do a print again for these variables. So this is just a storage location in memory for all these values, and they can be used these values can be retrieved just from the key. So let's see, print say name. Let's try running this. So you can use Alok Agrawal, or we can say something like my name is, and then plus name, and let's try it again. My name is Alok Agrawal. You can do similar thing with age. Is okay. Okay, perfect. So this gives you a brief idea of what variables is. Okay, so let's continue to the next step, which is getting an input. Welcome back. So in this tutorial we will learn how to take input on the screen. So let's start. So we will have our program, the last program which we created. So like print, input is also an inbuilt function, the Python function. So let's delete this, or maybe let's comment it. I'll rename this as variables, and now we say input.py. Yeah. What I will do is I will add a link to all these exercise material into the YouTube video, and then you can download this material later. So I think it's always the best thing to do with, pause the video, just do it yourself, do it with the video. Okay, so let's go to input. Input is an inbuilt function like print command, so which waits for user to print something and to add some values, and then it takes that values and process it. So let's input, you can do, so let's say, what is your name? What is your name? And then it will take this value and it will print, and it will look for the value, and until you give it, it won't process any further. So we'll store this value somewhere, so we'll use variables, which we learned in the last lesson. So we say name, so it processes it and add it a name. Let's run this. So we say button 3 input, and it's waiting for my name to say. If I say log, that's it, it takes a variable. So we do the next thing, which is let's print it. Let's say hi, name. So let's see what it does now. So we say look, say hi look. Okay, cool. Let's do one more thing. Let's take one more input. So say what is your favorite programming language? And let's say print we love okay, let's say my name is Alok. What's your programming language? Python. We love Python. There you go. See you next. Welcome back. In this tutorial we will learn type conversion. So Python doesn't convert one type to another itself, so we will have to convert it explicitly. So let's quickly jump to our editor, and we will define two variables. 100, which is an integer, so we'll define first variables a equal 100, which is an integer, and second b equals 200, which, because we have defined it in double quote, it becomes a string. So let's try adding these two. Print a plus b. Okay, so let's try running this program, and we get an error as expected. Unsupported operand types integer and string. So which suggests we are trying to add a string into an integer, which is not possible. So we will have to convert string into an integer. So how do we do it? We want to convert into integer, so we'll say int. Let's save it. Let's try running it. Here you go, we get 300. So there are different types you can convert. You can have float. You can convert it to float. You can even convert it to bool. So bool takes true and false. Yeah, so yes, you can define into different types. You can convert into different types. Thank you. This is for this lesson. Learn more about string concatenation, string formatting. Um, so let's start. Let's create a new file called string.py, Python extension. Okay, so let's print something. Print, let's say Python course. Okay, what if you want to give a single quote command? Let's run it. If you want to give a double quote here, but then it will not work because the second double quote will be treated as the end of the first one, and then you can't do it. So in that case you will have to use single quote, and then you can use the double quote inside this. Let's run it again. Python's codes. So you can use double quote inside the single quote, or you can use if you want to use single quote, you can't use a single quote inside a single quote because then it will again be treated as the end of the first single quote. So we will have to use a double quote. And you can see both. Okay, so next thing which we can do is if you want to have a multi-line string, how we can do it. So let's say print. So multi-line string start with 3 characters. This is first line, this is second, this is third, and let's finish it with, let's try this. There you go. So you can have multi-line string using this. If you make a space here, type it, it will be treated exactly how you have written it. So it will, any spaces in here will be shown in print command as well. You can also do indexing. You can find the indexes of your string. So let's comment this. Let's comment this as well. Let's type a name, print hello world. Let's define a name. If you want to find the index, we can find the index by just saying name 0. Let's say let's print it. Print. So what do we think we'll get? So indexing of any name, any variable start with 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3. So what we should get is 0 is equals to 1. So we'll get A. So let's see. So we get it A. Okay, so we can do some we can do multi-indexing as well, which is we can give start and end of the index. So let's say we start from 2, second character which is 0, 1, 2, and we finish at 7 characters. So let's see what we will get. Okay, AG, so which is second character, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. Okay, we can also do just this, which is it will give any character from the start index. So let's see. So any character from start, so which is second from here. We can even do any character which we want to finish, which is 6 characters, suppose. So it will give start from 0 up to 6. So which is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's do, you can even do this, which is it doesn't give you first and last, so it will give the whole starting from 0 till the end. Very interestingly, you can do one more thing, which is minus, which you can do only in Python, which you can't do in many other programming languages. So minus, if you give a minus string, it will start from the end. So -1 should give you the last character. So -1 is minus the last character. -3, suppose if you give, so minus starts from the last character, W, so 1, 2, 3. Okay, you can also do some formatting of the string. If you want to copy a string, you can even copy a string to a new, so let's say new variable, go to name, and if you want to print new variable, let's comment this and see. So you should see the full name. Yes, so it's coming from here. The new variable is just a copy. So copy a variable is just assigning to a new variable. You can even do a formatting of the string. So if you want to write, the name, so instead of name, we'll give first name, and give last name. Let's remove this. Let's remove this. You want to give first and last name. Let's remove this, and you want to type print my name is, and then you want to say, suppose first, if you want to give first and last name, something like this, so you can give first name, then plus, let's start double quote again, here you go, and say, and then again double quote, last name, so you can give something like this. So if you print this, it will show me my name is parenthesis and then Alok Agrawal. So this is quite hard to read, and people have to remember this. So we can use formatting string, which actually start with something like print character F, double quote, and you say my name is, and then you can just give a variable here and here, and within this you can directly define your variables. You can give your variable as for first name, and here you can say last name. And if you print this, it gives you same result, and it's easy to remember, and within the string you don't have to use all these words, and it's quite straightforward. So always remember to use formatted string when you are trying to use it. Our strings have many functions. Let's take one of the string first, like first name. If you do dot, you will see there dot, and then you will see different methods which are which you can see is here. Capitalize, case fold, center, count. We will cover few of them. We can't cover every method, but we will definitely cover few of them. So if we so like we can cover addition, we can even, okay, let's do something like find. Let's find something in name. So if we say a, so it's a case sensitive first of all. So whatever I'm trying to find in a string, it will always it's always case sensitive. So yes, just look at that. Let's try, and let's comment these two. Let's try this. Sorry, it's save. Okay, so because a is at the 0 index, it always gives you the index of the word which you are trying to find. So let's do something else. We can do first name dot upper. It will always convert the case into uppercase. There's also function lower, which will convert into lowercase. Let's have a quick look. Print. Okay, let's try this up. So it's all uppercase. If you want to convert to lowercase, lower. Okay, save. Let's try running it again. It's all lowercase. You can also do title. Let's see, I haven't used it, but let's see what it does. Okay, like just make it a title. Also, let's change it to, you can also use something called replace. In this, if you see it gives you what you want to replace it with and how many characters you want to replace. So you need to give the old string, the new string, and how many characters you want to replace. So if I say a, I want to replace it with j. Let's see what it gives. Oops, sorry, unexpected EF. Okay, so yes, because I haven't finished. Here you go. I need to give count as well, so you can give 1. Let's try it running again. Okay, so so what it did is, in the replace, it replaced the word a with the character which you want to replace it with, and how many characters we want is 1. Let's try something else. Let's do 2. If you don't get this, let's see what it does. I think it will do the same. There you go. So yeah, it has quite a few functions here. Let's explore a few more. to split. Let's bring a new word here. Say, suppose if we say, or even here, if we give just a name, hello girl, and if we want to do a split, let's try print name dot split, and we want to split with the space. So what we will do is we'll do this and we'll do space, and just try this one. So it has split it into two different characters, into an array, into a list, based on the space. So you can use it, in comma separated strings. If you want to convert them to array, you can actually use it like cities. So let's say so there's a string in Paris, New York. So if you want to convert it into, suppose, an array, cities, and instead of suppose this, we say I want it in a list. City. City list. Sorry, always try to get your variables in lowercase. So just change it back to lowercase. City split, and I'm saying I want to split it based on a comma. Okay, let's print it. Print city list. Sorry, list. Okay, let's try this. Okay, so I must be missing something. Am I having addition braces? Let's try this. Here you go. So you can see it has split it into an array or list based on the comma. So you can see it here. So this is how you can use these methods, and it's quite useful. Thank you for watching it. Let's see you in next video. Tutorial, we are going to talk about arithmetic operations. So let's jump back to our Visual Studio Code. Let's create a new file. Let's call it maths.py. Okay, so as I discussed in earlier tutorials, we have integer or float. So integer is a number without decimal, and float is a number with decimal. So we can perform different mathematical operations. So we can say 10 plus 20. So we take two integers, and if we print this, say 30. So it prints two different numbers. We can even do subtraction. Let's take a bigger number. Let's print this. This is just a basic math. We can multiply. Yes. We can even do division. So we can say division. So it gives us a number with the float. We can do absolute division which should give us integer. So we can do a double slash. It gives 2. We can also do a modulus, which is a percentage. which is the percentage. It gives us the operator, and we can even do the power. So let's do a power. So power always comes with double star. Let's say 2. There you go. So it gives us power as well. So there are different operations you can do. You can also take benefit of augmented assignment operator, which is if you want to add a number to itself, you use a syntax like x equals, let's define x first, x equals 10, and let's say x equals x plus 10, and then let's print x. Let's comment this one. Print x. It gives you 20. But there's a shortcut which you can use, which is you can write instead of this plus equals and then whatever number you want to add. And if you comment this, it should give you the same results. There you go. You can also do a subtraction in the same way. It should give us 0. You can also use a library called math, which will give you many different functions to do a lot of mathematical operations. To use library, we just have to simply just import that library. So library is a set of functions which is provided by Python. So let's do import math, and because we have imported it, now we can use any function just with math dot, and then you can see a lot of functions here which can be used. Like I know a few of them, but it's there are a lot of many functions. So there's a proper documentation which you can look at the Python website, and we can have simple functions like modules, or let's quickly floor. We can have cos, degrees. So yes, there are a lot of functions which you can use. It's very useful library, and anyone square roots. So it's a very useful library. So if you want to use math, you can look at the documentation provided by Python. Thank you. We're going to learn if operator in this tutorial. So quickly jump to our Visual Studio Code. Let's create a new file. Let's go if.py. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to write a quick program to understand the condition. I'll quickly show what we're going to write. So we are going to assess and condition if it is raining outside, and if it is, then take an umbrella. Otherwise, if it is a sunny day, if it is, then put on a hat. Otherwise, have a wonderful day. So let's quickly write this program. I'll just comment this. Start here. So to have a condition, I'll say create a variable first is raining and mark it true, and start with if. So if condition, if and then the condition. So condition is raining, and then to give the actual value, we put a colon, and then if you see it has indented to the next line, anything which comes after the indent will be between this if clause. So I'll say print take an umbrella, and I can say as print have a day. So if you see, we have covered the first condition. If it is raining, true, else otherwise have a wonderful day. So we will add another condition if there is a sunny day. So how we'll do it? So you say, go back in here and say else so say elif, there you go, elif, and then we write the condition. We will declare another variable and say is sunny equals to true, and say print put on a hat. So now my program says if it is raining, take an umbrella. Else if, let's put it, is sunny, then put on a hat, and else have a wonderful day. Okay, let's quickly run this program. Take an umbrella because our first condition is true. Let's make the first condition false. So now it says, okay, first condition is true, it's raining, take an umbrella, and then it just exit. Let's make first condition false, which means it's not raining but it's sunny. Put on a hat. Let's make even second condition false. So it's not raining, it's not sunny, then have a wonderful day. Okay, so yes, so this is how it works in if else condition. So first as if condition, and you put a colon and then give a statement under this and any other statement. If you want to have any other statement, print, say it's raining. So you can give any number of statement under the same indentation. You can do the same here. Sunny. And then you give a condition, and after the condition colon, and then you put again statements under the indentation, and then the else statement. So let's make it true just to showcase here. Put on a hat, it's sunny. So this is how it works. Thank you. We are going to learn about logical operators. So let's quickly jump back to our studio code. So we are going to look at two conditions and nor. You can use even not operator too. I'll show you example later. So we will have two conditions. So we'll say if age is between 20 and 33, you are a young man, otherwise not eligible. And second example would be or if age is less than 18 or more than 60, then you are eligible. You aren't eligible to work. Otherwise, please forward your CV. Okay, so let's quickly start building this example. So we'll say if, as in the previous example, we have learned if condition. So let's say if. So let's define variable first. Age equals 30. Suppose if age is between 20 and 33, so age is greater than 17 and age is less than 24. Then we say print you are a young man, and then we say else we don't have any else condition, so we'll just say else and say print not tuple. Okay, so we can use an operator just like it's plain English, and we can have a second condition in a similar kind of example. If we don't have to give age is less than 18 or more than 60, so we say if age is less than 18 or age is greater than 60, then print you are and eligible to work as, then print forward your CV. Let's run this. So age is 30. So what we should get? So age is 30. The first one should give us you're a young man, and the second one should give us you're eligible to work. Let's see. So say logical. You're a young man for your CV. If we say age is 61, then you are not eligible to work. You aren't eligible to work. We can also look at not operator. So let's quickly look example. Let's comment this first. So say if not age is greater than 60, then print me so what does it mean? So it says if age is, so if we remove not, it says age is greater than 60, then forward your CV. No. So we are saying if age is 60 not, which is if age is not 60, not greater than 60, then forward your CV. Let's quickly run it. Let's say forward your CV. So you can use a not condition too, which is also one of the logical operators. So just to conclude, so AND operators need both conditions true or need at least one true. Hopefully I've got some idea about logical operators now. See you in next video. Welcome back. To revise what we have done until now, let's do a quick exercise. We will create a currency converter Um, okay, so for currency converter, what we will do is we'll input a from currency and to currency and the amount which we wanted to convert into that currency, and then it will give an output of the converted rate. So we'll convert it. So we say from, we create a variable, we take an input first from currency and then input, and we ask for input from currency, and we say it could be GBP or EUR, GBP or EUR. We will make it case insensitive, so we will revise our string functions methods as well. And now we say how much amount we want to convert. Amount, we take another input, amount to be converted. We can take to currency as well. We'll take it just for our comparison operators, but there is no need, because if somebody selects GBP, is by default we are converting to EUR, but we will just in case take it to currency. It could be if somebody wanted to change the currency into same, then he can still use it. Input to currency within double quote. And we say it could be again GBP or EUR. We can do all sort of things here if you want to, but we will keep it simple. We can even do, if somebody selects GBP, then option should here be just EUR. If somebody selects EUR, the option here should be GBP. So we will keep it simple for this learning. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll say if, we'll use our logical operator, and we say if converter, if operator, and then we'll say if from currency equals GBP. But as we said, it could be it is case insensitive. So what we will do is we'll convert this to uppercase, whatever it comes to, upper, and then whatever it gives, it can be small, lowercase GBP or uppercase GBP. It will always convert into uppercase and do a comparison. So if GBP, then we say print amount. We'll also do one more comparison operator just for our sake. So and we'll use a logical operator and we say and to currency dot upper equals EUR, and then say then print amount into we'll just use random numbers, so these are not correct numbers, but we'll still just use random numbers, and then say another condition else, or maybe say elif from currency dot upper equals EUR and to currency dot upper equals GBP, print amount into 0.89, and I will say another condition: if somebody gives GBP in both the cases or EUR in both the cases, then it should just print the amount. Print amount. Okay, so let's quickly run this program and let's see how it behaves. Button 3. Let's clear this. Button 3. Sorry. And say currency converted by. Okay, so we have an error here because we left else part, and now I say if this or elif. Let's try again. Okay, what we will do that now. We haven't saved it. Let's try again. Here you go. From currency. So we are saying from currency GBP. Okay, amount to be converted 100 to EUR, and then it gives an error. Okay, so this is also a good example, and we have looked into int and float, so we will fix this error. Also, if you see the from currency GBP EUR, it doesn't have any space, so we'll give some space as well. So I'm fixing it as we are learning it. So what we'll do is, for user-friendly thing, we will give a space here, a space here. Then next time we run it, it will give us. Oh, we haven't saved it. Okay. Let's try again. So it give us a space here. Okay, so just. Okay, let's look at the error, what it gave in terms of float. So it says can't multiply sequence by non-int to float. So it is saying it can't convert into integer into float. So what we will do is, because it is assuming this amount. Okay, there's also another thing. Because this input we're just taking an amount, it could be string. People can give in a string, or it will always take in string. So what we'll do is we'll explicitly convert into an float. So what we'll say is, either we can do two things here. So either we can convert into float every time we write an amount here. So we can either do float here. So whatever it comes, always consider it as a float. Or we can, instead of writing it two places, we can do it at one place, which is here. So we say float and then convert the whole input, whatever we receive. So, and then we remove it from here. Okay, let's try this again. Let's clear this. Let's try this again. Button 3. So it asks for, do you want, so from currency. So from currency, we're saying GBP, amount to be converted 100, to currency EUR, and it says 108. Okay, so there is another space which is missing here, amount to be converted. We can also say dash space, dash space, dash space, just to look it nicer. Okay, so it did convert into 108. Let's try again. Let's save it. Let's try again. So currency converter, I'm saying now this time give me EUR, amount to be converted again 100, to currency GBP, and gives me 89. Also, let's try another thing, which is the else case. So I'm saying GBP 100 and give me GBP again and 100. Okay, so this is a simple program, very simple program, and it covers our some topics which we have covered in the past, like converting some string functions, like to upper to lower, some input variables, conversion to a different type, which is converting it to float. So whatever is coming, we always convert it to float first, because we are multiplying it to float. We can also even convert it back to the int if we want, but because it's a currency conversion, it could come in decimal digits. Also, we are covering here if and else conditional statement, logical operations, and yeah, so this example cover a lot of things which you have covered in the past. So try practicing it at yours and if you have any issues, post some comment. I'll help you. Thank you. Tutorial, we are going to learn about loops and nested loops. So let's quickly jump into Visual Studio Code. So we are going to learn about while loop and for loops. And within the while, we will learn about break, continue, and else part. And in for loop, we'll learn about list, for looping in list and strings, the break and continue commands, a range function, and then the else part in for loop 2. And then we'll learn about nested loop and then the pass command. So fasten your seatbelts. Let's quickly start. So while loop generally runs as long as the condition is true. So we'll start with an example. Let's say I equals 1, and while I is less than 6, and then the same column, and I say print I. As simple as that. And then because I will always remain the same value, we will have to change i's value. We will increment I value. So say I plus 1. So if you run this program now, what will happen? So 3, and you say loops. Okay, so it did give me a value starting from 1 until 5. So because the condition says I is less than 6, so it will continue until 5, and then the loop exits. And then we'll learn about the break command. So let's see in the same here, if we say if I equals 3, then break. Okay, what will happen here? So I is 1, I should be less than 6, print I, and then if I is less than 3, I equals to 3, then give a break. Okay, so it did print up to 3 and then it break. So what break does is, break statement, we stop the loop um, even if the while condition is not true. So while it started from here, it print command and then compared operation 3 and then it found the break command and then it simply exited the loop. So break commands, wherever you see, it will actually break the loop. So we have another command called continue. So continue will um, skip a statement. So let's say if we say, instead of break here, if we say continue, we use the same indentation and instead of I plus plus, we give it here, we increment first, and in print command we print it later. So we say, suppose here, so what I'm doing is, as soon as it comes, I'm starting with 0, suppose, and I'm saying if I is less than 6, yes, do me increment. Okay, so I becomes 1 first, and then if I is equals to 3, no, okay, then print me, and then it continues in the loop. When I becomes 3, then it skip that step and then continues. Let's see the results. Okay, so if you see here, 1, 2, and then it skipped 3 because 3 says continue, so it has skipped any further step. So it has actually exited and gone into the loop again. So it doesn't exit the loop, but it skipped any step which is after that. So it skipped print command and then it continued from the next step, which is line number 16, and it continued until the condition became false. Okay, then there is a else statement. So else statement is quite specific to Python. We don't have this in other languages. Not many languages support it. So else is once the condition becomes false, then you can also do a else statement, which will print, which will run that command. So if I say here else, and then I say print I is no longer less than 6, and just for this I'll remove the if command for now, and let's see how it behaves. Okay, so it did print here, and then when the condition became false, when I became more than 6, and then it goes into else command and printed this. Okay, so that's our while loop. Let's go to the for loop. I'll comment this just for the reference. I'll keep this. Okay, so for loop, excuse me. So for loop will iterate over a list, a string. We'll cover this in detail. So let's say fruits is a list of fruits here. Suppose apple, banana. There's another cherry. And then if you want to list through it, so look through it, we'll say x in, and then fruits, and then statement, and then say print x. So what does it bring? So it should give us all the fruits one by one. There you go, apple, banana, and cherry. For loop can even loop through a specific string. So this is a list, but if you want, we can actually loop through a specific string. So let's take an example. So we say fruit is not a list. Fruit is just apple. And say if you want to loop through this, let's have a look. So it actually gone through each string, and then it has looped through it. So that's also one of the example. So it can actually cover the list or a string. Similarly, it has a break in continue commands. So break command, as we did in while loop, it breaks when the condition matches true. So let's comment this. Let's go back in here. Let's say first. Okay, so what we're going to say is after this, if x equals banana, then give me a break. Okay, so what's going to do? What do you think? So it will print apple and then it should break. Okay, it did print apple, and because the print statement is here, so it did print apple and banana, and after the banana, because the condition met, it breaks out, and then it didn't print cherry. Okay, so let's have another command, which is continue. So let's do a continue. So in the continue, if we, instead of break, I say continue, and I, instead of printing it here, I print after this. So what it should give, let's have a look. Okay, so it gave me apple, the first fruit, and because in the banana we had a continue, so it skipped the next step, and I print me the third fruit, cherry. So it's a similar kind of functionality as we have in while loop, is just in the for. For does support this too as well. Then we have an interesting function called range. I've discussed in my previous tutorial as well, but I think it's good to discuss again range with the for loop. So it has a range function does support a range of string or range of numeric functions. So it loops through a set of specified number of times. So if you want to loop in a number of times, you don't have to specify 1 2 3 4 5 or make a list or something. So what it will do is you can just use this range function and say I want to loop in until 10. So it will start from 0 until 9. So it will have 0 to 9 numbers. So let's print it. Print x. I'll comment this. Okay, and then let's have a look. What does it give us? So it gave us 0 to 9. You can also, in the range function, you can say the starting index. By default, it has a starting index at 0, but you can say I want to start from 2, or any other number. So it will start from 2 until the index -1, which is 10 minus 1. Okay, so this is quite useful when you're doing a for loop in different if you want to do a for loop for numbers, a long range of numbers. You can also do else statement, which is quite similar to while. So you can do else statement here. So you can say else print so when it completes the condition, the loop is finished. It does run else part. Loop completed. So after it has finished up to 9, it runs the else part. And then we can do a nested loops as well. So go back to our previous example. Let's comment this. Let's go in here. So we have fruits, apple, banana, cherry. Let's add some adjectives as well. So let's add the list. So say red, big, and then we say it's a tasty. Yeah. Okay, so we added a list here, and there's a list of fruit. So what we're going to do here is we're going to run a nested loop. So I'll just remove this line. We run another loop, say for let's say y in adjectives, and then we're going to move everything into the y and say okay, the fruit, and instead of remove everything we say print me y and x. Okay, let's see what it gives. So we have two different loops, so it should iterate through first loop and then the second, then the first loop, then the second, then the first loop, then the second, all of them. So let's quickly see what results it brings up. Okay, so it says red apple, red banana, red cherry, big apple, big banana, big cherry, big cherry. Okay, so it iterated for the first one and then all of the second ones, then second one and all of the second ones, and third one and all of the third one. So this is also one of the examples which you can use to have, nested loops. Okay, so the pass statement. So the pass statement is quite interesting. So sometimes if you want to have, there may be situations where we want to have a loop and we don't want to write any statement, though it's not, it's not practical. But yes, if there is a statement here, we can use this statement later in the functions as well. But for now, we haven't discussed functions yet. So in the loops also we can use the same. So we say so instead of this, if we say pass, so what it should do is if you create a loop and if you don't give any statement, it will still complain about things. So because it doesn't have any, so if you say here, I say unexpected end of file while parsing, because this for statement doesn't have an and statement, so it's not complete. But by using a pass expression, you can actually just use a pass, and then it won't complain about the for loop is empty or not. It will just skip it actually. So this is also useful at some situations. So we have covered while, break, continue, else, and the for loop section, list, looping through list and string, and then the break, continue, the range function, else part in for, nested loops, to for loops, and the pass statement. Cool. See you in the next video. Here we are going to learn about lists, tuples, and dictionaries. So list is a collection in which is ordered and which is changeable. So you can make changes, amendments in the list. Tuples are ordered but not changeable, so you can't make any changes, neither add nor remove. And dictionaries are unordered but changeable and indexed. So it's a key value pair. type of collection. So let's quickly jump onto our Visual Studio Code. um, I've created a file list.py. Let's quickly see an example of the list. So you create a list by, I've also discussed this in the past, the list one, but just quickly let's have a look. So list can be apple, banana, so this is our list. So you see the parenthesis, the big parenthesis. This is the list is defined by these parentheses. If you want to define a tuple, it's by the lower brackets. So if you say this, so this one is tuple, and dictionary is the key value pair. I'll show you. So for now I'll just comment this one, and let's see what we can do in the list. So in the list we are going to see how we can loop it. In previous tutorial we have discussed about looping in the list, but let's have a quick look. We can also learn about indexes as well. So you know, in the you can see fruit, and then index. If you print this, what should we get? So list apple. So because 0 index, you can also find -1 index, which will bring your the last word of the list, the last keyword. You can also have start and end index like strings. This is similar concept as string. So if I say start and end, index, sorry, not comma, it should be column, and then if you print this, it will give you starting to 1, so starting 0, and it gives you before 1. So if I go 2, it should bring 0 and 1. If I do 3, then 0, 1, 2. Okay, so this is indexing, and let's do a looping as well. So to loop in the list, so we can have a loop where we are trying to get each fruit in the fruits, so each element in the list. So if you print this, it should give us each element, banana, cherry, and we can also do if item exists in the list. So we can say, instead of fruit, say if say apple in fruits, and what should give us? It should give us something. Then what? Then we say print yes, apple exists. Okay, yes. Okay, so yes, apple exists, because apple exists. If I say mango, and if I say no, so it won't bring because it doesn't exist in the loop. So you can actually do, you can also get the length. So print length is our length function, and then I get a list. It's not list, fruits. If I print this, what should you get? The length. The length is 3. So index is start from 0, 1, 2, but length of the total list is 3. We can also add item. So let's comment this. So to add item, we can do append. if you want to add another item, if you want to remove item, we can do dot remove in the list. If you want to insert an item at a specific position, we can use insert. So let's try all these three functions. So because if you use a pen, it will just add it at the very end. So let's say my fruit list, if I say fruits dot pant, and I say orange, and if I print it, fruits, so it should give me orange in the very end. So now I have orange at the very end. Let's add, let's do insert, or maybe let's remove it first. So let's say fruit dot remove, and then I give the name of the item which I want to remove, so which is let's say banana. I want to remove banana, suppose. And if I print this after this, and let's comment this one. Okay, so it should remove banana. Okay, so it did remove apple and cherry. Not sure why. Remove fruits. Append orange. It did orange. And then we run a list. Oh, so it tried to add. Let's run this again. Sorry. Okay. The first one has fruit, added orange, and the second one removed banana. So we have apple, cherry, and orange. So that looks like, I don't know why it did remove, to show two items. Okay, don't worry. And then let's try insert. So fruit, so we fruits dot insert, and if you see, it has two arguments, is two parameters, index, so where we want to add this element, and what's the value. So let's say so now the current value is apple, cherry, and orange. So I want to add between cherry and orange. So 0, 1. So I would say I want to add a 2 play. So I want to add a location 2, and what I want to add, mango. Okay, and let's print this again. Okay, and let's comment it. Okay, so let's try this again. So I have mango at between banana and cherry at 0, 1, 2, second index. So that's our insert function. We can do a copy. So we can also say new fruits equals fruits dot copy. So we can say this, and we say so let's move on to tuples. So let's comment this. So this is a list. Let's make another one called tuples.py. So as I said earlier, tuple can be where's tuple? So if it's fruits equals, so tuples can be created by braces, lower brackets. So let's apple, mango, cherry. So we have here fruits, and if you want to, you can access tuple by just having an index. So print fruits by index, like suppose 1 if you say, and if you say tuples mango, so you can see the first one. You can also do a negative index in a similar fashion as we did earlier, which will give you a start from the last cherry, but you cannot remove anything from the tuple, so it's kind of static, immutable, or unchangeable, so you cannot remove anything in the tuple. You can loop through, as we did in a similar fashion as we did in the loops, as we did in the list. So but you cannot change the value. So if you want to keep a list which needs to be a constant, you don't want people the list to be amended, make it a tuple, then it will never change. Okay, so let's go to dictionaries. So okay, I will comment this. In dictionaries, as I said earlier, this is unordered, changeable. It's a indexed but a key value pair. So you can create a dictionary called cars. Suppose if I say, and the cars, you can say brand, Ford, brand Ford, then comma, and then you give some other value which is say, model, and you say Mustang, and then you again add another value. So we're just making one dictionary which has these three different key value pairs. So year, and then I say here is 1964. Okay, so that's our dictionary, and let's try printing it. Let's remove the space. I say print cars space. There you go. So you can see brand Ford, model Mustang, year 1964. Okay, so this is fine. Now if you want to access the item, we can access it through the keys. So these are the keys, these are values. The keys is brand. Suppose if I say brand, and if I print this, it should give me it needs a double quote. Okay, not here. Okay, so let's try again. Yeah, so it gave me a value of the key in our dictionary. Okay, so you can also access it through a method. So you can say print cars dot get, and then within get you can give brand. Yeah, let's try this. So yeah, so both methods gets the same value. So both are the method to get how to get a value. um, you can also update existing value. So we can say cars, and I am saying the year I need to change. So year equals 1984. So if I change this and if I say print cars, let's see what value it gives. Okay, so the year has changed now to the new next value, the new value which we have assigned in the year. So the new dictionary is having the new value. We can loop through dictionary in the same fashion as we did in the list. It's just um, we need to keep in mind this has a key value pair. So if I say x in cards, and say print x, so what do you think it will bring? I'll comment all of the other stuff. Let's have a look what it brings. So it brought me the key, because we are saying the key here. So it brought me the key, brand, model, year. But if you want to get the value, what you can do is you can say cars, and then within car you can have the key. So now it's saying it's similar to this way. So I'm saying car and the key, car and the key. So now it should bring me the value. Car, key. So okay, cool. You can also get the values based on the dictionary. There's a function called values. So by default it treats whatever you are taking this element, it treats it as a key, but you can make it as a value as well. So an example could be dot values, and I say now this. So now this is iterating through values, not the keys. So let's try this. Sorry, it's bringing this as well. So now see the second result also brought the same result. So it's iterating through its keys. So yes, I mean you can even get the length in the same fashion as we did in length, and then cars. Let's print it. It brings the length. Okay, so because we have 3 elements, you can add a new item. So we haven't added a new item yet, so let's add a new item. So we add a new item by just saying cars and just give a new key. So I'm saying the new key is color, and the color is red. Okay, so now if I print cars, I should get the 4th new element, which is color red. So now you can add, you can remove an item. So I've just added it. If I want to remove this item, what I will do is I will write a function called pop. So cars dot pop. you, so there, if you see, there are two functions, pop and pop item. So you can directly so in the, if you give pop, you need to give keys, and if you give pop item, you need to give the values. So I'm saying pop and remove me, just added color. So, and then if I print cars again, it should remove colors. So let's run it. So here it added it as part of this, and here it removed it as part of this pop example. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much you can do. I mean, you can do again the copy function, so dot copy, which also works good. Thank you. See you next video. Welcome back. So in this tutorial, we are going to learn about functions. So function is a block of code which only runs when you call it. You can call function at multiple places, and you just have to write it once. So let's quickly jump into Visual Studio Code and write our first function. So now we know about a lot of other stuff, so it's good to learn functions. I think it's the right time. So let's create a new file, function.py. Okay, so function is always defined by a def keyword. So in Python, we start a function with def, a definition, and then we say get name, and then like any other thing, to give indentation, and I say print my name is Alok. Okay, so we have a function now, so let's call it. So how do we call this function? We call this function just by writing the function name. So my function name is get name, and then parenthesis, and let's call it. So Python 3, and I say, there you go. So it has printed my name. So if you want to write some block of code which I need to use at multiple places, I can define it in the function and then use just a function name to call that code. So now this is fine. Now suppose if we want to parameterize it and we want to pass the name, because this is hard coded, but if you want to pass the name as a parameter, we need to define parameters if you want to pass this as an argument. So let's define two parameters. So let's say first name, and we define last name. And now we can just use it here in the function, the first name and the last name. So how do we do it? So we say first name. Okay, so let's use format string, and let's say first name, and let's give it last name. And because now we need two parameters, this is giving an error saying it needs these parameters. So we give these parameters when we pass the function. So let's say to look, say grow. So I give two parameters, the first name and the last name. Let's see what So it brought the same results. So it has added my first name into the first name parameter, and argument we have passed in here. Now we can do something more. So as part of this, if we want to, so this is quite a small program, and it just have simple first name and the last name. But what if we are playing with numbers, and it has multiple numbers, and then when you're giving it here, you actually don't recognize which parameter is defined for which number. So what we can do is we can give so these are, the way which we are giving now is called position arguments, but we can also give the keyword arguments. So we can pass in something like providing a keyword first and then the value. So keyword and the value. So let's have a quick look. So we say first name equals, and then last name equals, and they should give me the same results. The benefit of this using this is we can change the order. We don't have to stick to the same position of the parameters, and we can say we want to pass first name at the very last. Okay, that's fine, because we have the keywords assigned to it, so it should still bring the same results because the value is actually going into the defined parameters. So that's our keyword functions arguments. Also, now if you want to return a value, so now we are just printing a function, but what if you want to return a value? So let's say I want to return this name, so I comment this. I say full name, and I say return tuple code. I say return my first name space last name. So this should return this value, and when we are calling this, it should add this value. It should assign this value to this variable, and then we will print this variable here, full name, and it should still bring the same results here. So it says Alok Agrawal, so it has printed my full name. So what it does, so we pass arguments here in the keyword, and then it added those and returned those values from the function, and we assigned it to the variable and then printed it. So okay, so we have done quite a lot. We can also try something else, which is also very meaningful. So what we can also pass a list to the function, like our previous list, which is a fruit list. We can pass that list to the function as well. So let's quickly copy the list. Function, so yes, we have a list here. Okay, let's define this list. Let's create a function called print fruits, and in here I need a list called fruits. I define a function def, and then what I do is I say, because this is a list and I want to print each fruit from the list, actually loop in. So I say x in fruits, then print x. Okay, so so this is a function defined, this is a list defined. Let's call this function. So function name is print fruits, and then what we need to do is pass the actual list, pass the actual values as an argument. So okay, let's see what results it bring. There you go. Apple, banana, and cherry. So do you understand what we did? So we created a list, we created a function, then print fruits, passed a list in here, looped in through the list and printed the value of each element. And then while calling the function, we pass the values of the fruit list in here in the function. So we can also return a value in a similar way. If you remember, I have discussed the pass statement. If you have a function and you don't want to define any element or any code within the function, you can actually just use a pass. So like the function, then if you actually leave it here, it will start showing me an error. There is no end of file because this function is not finished. But I can actually do a pass, and then I won't see any error because it will just not use this function. Okay, so that's all we have for function. Try some exercise by writing some function and then try using it. If you need any help, just leave the comments. Thank you. We're going to learn about exception handling in Python. Let's quickly jump to the studio code. So in Python, exception handling can be done by a try and except block. Let's quickly write a program. Number. Let's take an input from user, a number, input, enter a number. Okay, and let's make some changes to the number. Like say, let's do number. Let's make an increment to the number plus 1. Okay, and then print number. Okay, so let's try this. So exception, enter a number, and I say 10. Okay, so what I get an exception cannot concatenate string into int. So what happened is I gave a number as a number, but I added a space. So space, it treated this whole thing as a string, and now we are trying to append a number into a string now, which it can't do, and it fails, saying a type error. Okay, so how we can better handle this exception? So what we can do is we can add a try and except block and add a specific exception which we think can occur. So let's try, then add everything under this, indent it, and then accept, and then we can either make it except for all, any error, or we can give a specific exception what we want to handle. So here we want to handle type error, so we can see the error type here, what kind of error it has occurred. So it's a type error, so we can say type error, and in the type error, what we can do is we can print and give a user proper message, say enter a number, not string. Okay, let's try this again. Exception, and I say 10, And now what happens is it says enter a number, not a string. It was able to handle this type error clearly. Um, but if error doesn't occur, what we can do is 10, and then it says okay, because it's still treating it as a string, because whatever number we enter, we are not converting into a integer. So either we convert into integer first, we need to convert the input, whatever is coming is here, and then convert into integer, and then integer plus number. If you run this command now, and it should give me 11. But if suppose somebody types a string, then it gives me an error and says it's a string, but the error is value type error. So this is a different error. So we can handle a second error here and says okay, except the error type is value error, and I print again a new statement called please enter a number only. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, let's say hello, and then it says now it's a value error, please enter a number only. In the else part in the exception, so you can say else and the statement print and say nothing went wrong. Okay, so let's try this. Enter number 10 and say, so it printed the number and it didn't have an exception, and then it prints the else part. So you can have another thing called finally, which is present in all other languages too. So finally is a statement which it runs the final, up at the very end. So when you try raise an error or not, it will always run a finally. So we say try except is finished. Okay, so let's try this again. Enter number 10. Okay, and let's give an error to accept. So it says either you have an exception or not, it will always run finally command. So that's also one of the things which is quite good. You can also raise an exception. So if you explicitly want to raise an exception, you can actually do it in Python as well. So let's try an example. X equals -1, and then if we say if x is less than 0, then raise what exception, and say sorry, no numbers below 0. Okay, so there are scenarios where developers want to raise exception by themselves. They know the condition and they want to raise an exception. They can do it this way. So let's try running it again. Okay, so it has raised an exception. Sorry, no numbers below 0. Cool. So this is all about exception. We are going to learn about classes and inheritance. So Python is a object-oriented programming language. So it has a concept of classes and object properties and methods. So let's declare our first class and then it, initiate and instantiate an object. So let's jump on. Let's define first class py. Okay, let's create a class call. So it always start with the keyword is class, and then we say my class. So as if you have seen, we were always defining a variable in the lowercase, but in the classes always it's a um, it's an, it's a standard that we always define a camel case. The first letter is always the caps. And let's define a variable here with a value. Okay, and now we have a value. Let's initiate an object. So let's say I have an object called p1. So p1 equals my class, and this p1 becomes an object. Now I want to get the variable of my class. Let's say print p1 dot, and then I should be able to access x, which is the variable which is defined in my class. So if I do tree my first class, and I was able to access the variable in an object. So object is an instance of the class. Let's create a different class now. We can also create another object. P2 equals my class, and if I want to define a different variable which is always visible only in this object, we can define even that too. P2 dot let's say y equals 10, and if I say print p2 dot y, if I run this, I should be able to see my object here. But because this is defined specifically just for a p2 instance, if I want to say print my first object dot y, save it and try running it, I will get an error saying y doesn't have that object attribute, because the first object was using a variable which was defining in the class, but second object was using a variable which it defined just for this object. Okay, so let's create another example. Let's create a class called, I'm taking the same example, which is quite standard one with the mammal, and then we are defining a mammal here with some properties. So we can say we can define a function called eat, say print mammal eats. Okay, let's define second function, def sleep and say again a print command mammal sleeps. Okay, so now we have two functions, um, but what we need to do is we also need to define um, a, a self. When we define a function, we always need to define a magic keyword called self parameter. So I'll explain you, actually not later, I'll explain you now. So self parameter is a reference to the current instance of the class. You know, so when you're defining a class, self means a reference to itself, as the name suggests, and it's used to access the variables and that belongs to, you know, its class or any method within the class. So self relates to itself. Okay, so any function we are defining here gets a default parameter called self. Okay, so now let's define object. So let's say cow equals mammal. Okay, and now if I say, let's remove, because we're defining a class, let's say eats only. So now if I say print cow dot, and if you see now I am able to access the function of my class, which is eat and sleep. So let's see eat, and how we call this function, like this. We can also, you know, make something intelligent. Let's see, I don't know if it will work, but let's try this first. Okay, so let's try this, my first class. So eats, and then we get a none. So none is because we are not returning anything from this function, and by default if function doesn't return anything, it always returns a none. But because we are printing it here, so it did a print, which is it executed a function and did a print, and then it returned a none, which it prints. So we don't even need to print it here because we are already printing without in the function. So what we can do is we can say here, and then it eats. Okay, that's good. So that's our class. If you want to have any variable within the class, we can also have some variables. So let's define under the class. I'll just keep it here for now because later we're going to discuss inheritance, and then we will take this example there. So let's create another class called person. Okay, and now we define a function called like def my function. And within the function, because this is inside the class, we always say self, and we do a print and say hello, my name is self self dot. But at the moment I don't have any variables defined. So what I'm going to do is I'll quickly do I will quickly write a constructor. Okay, so let's quickly understand how the constructor works. So constructor is or initialized is used to initialize some variables with the values instead of passing those variables every time and assigning the value. We pass it while creating an object of the class, and when you pass those variables, constructor is the first thing which is called, and it is instantiate those variables and assign those value. So okay, so let's quickly define a constructor. So constructor always defined in this way. So def and init, so underscore underscore init, and then underscore underscore, and then we have self keyword, and then if you want to pass any variable, then you define those variables here, then you pass those variables here. So I'm saying name, age, and I will assign it to myself. Self dot name equals the name which are being passed in a function or constructor. Then self dot age equals the age which is being passed here. So this age represents this name represents this, and then self dot name, we are creating a new variable called name or age. Okay, so now we have this variable here already defined as a part of constructor. So now we should be able to access those variables here. Dot name. So now we get this. So now we have a class defined. Also, the constructor should be on the top. The first thing, it should be constructor. Let's define an object of this. So object is p1 equals person. Okay, so we have, and if you see now, because we have defined these two variables in the constructor, it is asking me the name and the age of the person. So name is John and age is 30. Okay, we can also call a function now. So now we have an object p1 dot, and what was the function name? My function. We don't have to define, we don't need to pass any values because our function doesn't need any value. But if you want to pass any value to your function, you can also define in the same way as you did in constructor, name and age or any other parameter which you want in here. But because these are defined as a part of constructor, this is auto initialized when you define an instance of a class, and then it should be able to pick it up from there. Okay, so let's run again my first class and I say hello, my name is John. Hello, my name is self.name, which is your first name, John. Okay, so that's our constructor, and that's our class, functions, and the variables we're defining, initializing a class, calling a function. So that's our class. So let's quickly jump to inheritance. So if we want to inherit all the methods and properties from another class, so if we take example of mammal class again, and we want to define two additional classes, we want to create two different classes. We can have two different functions, two new functions which are specific to those classes, and the new classes will inherit all the older functions from the parent class. So let's remove this, And let's say we have this class called mammal, which has two functions defined, eat and sleep. And we define another class called um, dog, which which will inherit from the parent class, which is mammal. So let's do, so now it inherits from the parent class. And we define another function called, so dog bark self. Print bark. Okay, so what we have done here is we have a class called mammal, and which has two functions, eat and sleep. But now we are creating another class called dog, which is a child class to the mammal, which inherits a mammal class. So it will always inherit its functions too, sleep and eat. So a dog can sleep and eat, and dog can bark. So it has its own function too. So it will always have parent class functions, and the child class functions. Let's create another class called cat, which also inherits from mammal, and it has a function defined called um, meow. Okay, and this will also have a self print meows. Okay, so now if we define an object of a class, so let's say cat1 equals cat, and if you want to see what functions we get inherited, so if we say bark, we won't say it, but if we say meow, it does have a meow function. But if you want to look at the functions which are from the parent class, eat, it does have eat. I'm going to sleep, it does have sleep. So it can call all the functions of the parent class, and it can call a function of itself. So cat1 dot meows. Same case with dog. So if we create dog1 of the class dog, and now we want to see what functions we can get dot. So it does get a sleep from the parent class. It does get a eat from the parent class, but it shouldn't get meow. But it does get a bark from its own class. So you can use, let's try running it. Okay, so sleeps, meow, bark. Okay, so hopefully this explains how the inheritance works. This is a basic example. Try some more examples at home, and if you have any issue, just message me on the channel. Learn about modules. So Python has a concept of this module, which is like a library in many other languages. So you define a library or a set of files or a file which has some variables or some functions which you can use in other files by referencing that file or a module. Okay, so let's quickly, for understanding it more clearly, let's create a new module. Let's say my module.py, and what we're going to do here is we'll just define a simple function called readings, and I say name, and it will just do a print hello and plus name. Okay, so this is our module, and if you want to use this module into some other file, so this is our a reference file. If you want to use it, let's create a new file, app.py. Suppose we don't have it. Okay, so let's import this module. So how do we import this module? We say import and then name or path of the module. Because it's in the same directory, you should be able to find this module here without .py extension, because all these are Python files, so we don't need to specify a file extension. And then how we can use the variable or a function, we say my module dot, and then you should be able to see the function name, and the name is look. And if we run this file, and I can see hello. So it was able to call a function from a different file and use it. So this is one of the example of the module. We can also use a variable from a module. So in the module, if we define a variable called number equals 10, and if you want to use it here, my module dot number, and print it here, and you want to see this, you can see a number if you are able to access the variable 2. Okay, if we this is a simple module, but if we can also use it by a different name, so what we can do is we can say as, and then define it in something else like mx. So now in this file it will always be used by just a name called mx. So there can be a long name of modules and we want to short them with some name, so we can use it the short form or reference it as a different name. So this is called a renaming of the module. So let's see, we should be able to see the same results. Okay, we can also do a from here. So what does it mean? So at the moment we have to use the module name dot greeting, but we can also call a specific variable or a specific function from the module. So instead of this, what we do is we say from my module import, and then I should get a list of what is in there. So the function name is import, the function name, we have a function name called greetings, but we can even do a star, so which will bring everything. Okay, let's remove this. Let's comment this as well. Okay, from my module import, and then I should say greetings. So what I should be able to do it now, we don't have to call module dot greetings. This function is in here, and then we should be able to directly use it, call here. There you go. So you can also use a function from a specific function instead of using the whole module or referencing or naming a module. Okay, I think we should be able to use a star too. Let's see. And in this case, you are getting all the variables instead of one. You should also be able to access number. In previous case, when we were doing just greetings, I don't think you can access number because we were specifically calling a greeting method, greeting function, not just a variable. But if you want to call everything in this module, you can say star, and you should be able to call everything. Cool. So this is all about module. See you next video.